Welcome back to IA Munich, where we're having a very quick and exclusive early look at this Hyundai Concept 3. Will it be called the IONIQ 3? Who knows? Let me show you something. You know when your dog gets brought to the vet and they come home with a cone of shame? That's the first thing I thought of when I saw this, which is the spoiler. It looks like your Jack Russell has had his, what's cut off. Now, actually, when you get closer to it, it's a chunky piece of material. Will this make it into the production car? That is the question. Now, I also thought when I was looking at the back of it, do you remember the Honda Civic from like 2008, 9? It's kind of giving me Honda Civic vibes over the back here, which is no bad thing. And basically, this car is on the same platform as the Kia EV3, but much like Hyundai have done with the IONIQ 9 versus the EV9, that's essentially what they, I presume, propose doing with this car, because it is a very, very early look at it. Very futuristic. A lot of people often comment on how futuristic Hyundai design is, and will it age well, will it not age well? They cannot be accused of kind of putting design way out there into the future. So this tiny little discreet light bar that's down here in the car. Again, we'll have to see obviously some headlights into the unit, but they will presumably go somewhere down here. And this front lip can't be as low as it is because you'd pull every ramp in Ireland with you as you drive along. Really low down the front end, so there's this light bar that displays messages on the front. Love that. Very personalised. Air curtain here. Hyundai in the past, on certain cars, they put active air flaps over the front here. So I'd imagine, these are probably larger than they would be, but it looks like they're going to put two active air flaps over the front lower splitter on the car. A couple of very pronounced creases over here. The bonnet does kind of remind me of the Kia EV6 in ways. Now, the whole point of the design is metal, which is bent and curved, and you certainly get that vibe wherever you look at the car. Tiny mirrors. Would these be optional extra mirrors like we've seen from the likes of Audi, and the car that was ahead of its time, the Hyundai E, all those years ago? And the shark fin aerial also has this lovely little light on the top, and is also facing the opposite way to the way you might expect. Now, when you look at the side profile of the car, you've got these sharp creases on the doors. You might be thinking, how is that door going to open that way and get people in? Well, it doesn't. More on that later. And then this accelerated roofline, as they call it. Would that door handle be somewhere here on the finished product of the car? But very, very sharp lines and lovely colours. This kind of tungsten grey is the official name of this material. And we have some of this kind of recycled looking material in the wheel arches over the car as well. Has to be said, these huge wheels, are they really going to make it into the final thing? But I love the little details with the torque inscribed here. Could you spec this as an optional extra on your Concept 3, your IONIQ 3, if you got one? You've got to come all the way down here. It says, "May the downforce be with you." And for that reason alone, I want to buy one of these things. Again, all these bits, are they going to make it into the production car? But it gives you a flavour of where the designers at Hyundai are going for this car. The bit that we can probably line up with all the other models that are currently on sale, like the IONIQ 5, is this pixelated light bar, which again is going to make its way into the car. I don't think we've seen any models with IONIQ lettering quite as big as on this. And the rear window, if it was to be this size, excuse the cone of shame, it is a very, very small window if that's the version that makes it into the production car. So there's some of the design cues on the outside. I have to get a man who's trained to open the doors to show you. So please hold, your call is very important. So the kind gentleman has removed the openings of the doors for me, because you're not allowed to touch anything. In fact, I've already got in trouble for touching the spoiler, so shh, say nothing. So in here, huge recessed ambient lighting, looks very nice. That would be your door card. Obviously currently it's too much of a smaller gap to actually fit things in there. These bucket style seats, now there's a huge angle incline down there. I think you'd be kind of parking your hips up towards space, but it's just a great use of interior space in a car. It's obviously a two-seater at the moment. That is presumably going to be a 3, but don't forget the Inster was the two-seater in the rear. So Hyundai are capable of being that bold and brave. These are perfect if you like being on the gram, because these instruments that can change and move, and you get kind of an idea of how it works now, will light up your face. But presumably you can turn that down as well. You can also get text messages displayed here on the steering wheel. Quite a very futuristic looking thing. They're like lights that someone slaps onto a rig. But again, it just gives you an idea of where they could be going. And troublemaker on the driver here with this huge headrest, speaker integrated into it. Very nice. Again, huge bucket seat here. Not probably realistic as to what we're going to get. But this idea, and we saw this in the Vision 7 from Skoda as well, this idea of seats that are very different to what we've come to expect in modern cars, really give you a much more modular idea on how to create loads and loads of space in your car, depending on who you're carrying on any given day. And you'll be able to set different themes on this. So whatever you want to display, whether it's wallpaper that's specific to you, and save it into the driver profile, I'm sure you'll be able to do that. This handle, it's kind of unusual looking. It's a bit like a top off an iron board, or an iron maybe, but it looks like it has a little speaker in it, which would be kind of cool. I note two little tiny buttons there for the window demister and the rear window demister and the hazard lights. But beyond that then, there's a couple of physical buttons just in the center of the dashboard also, and then this huge big kind of area for storing things, I suppose. And I'd imagine in this very cool looking futuristic roof, complete with an ambient light, working like a spine basically throughout the whole center thing, that could be a very nice glass panel. And if you want to get rid of the passenger beside you because they're doing your head in and won't shut up and let you listen to your tunes, there's even an eject passenger button up there. How often have you been in a car and there's just not enough space right in front of you to store stuff? So there is this thing. Now, could that be a wireless charger for the passenger? That would be very cool. I love this totally see-through area that lets you see right into the housing of the battery and the cells. Again, we won't see that in the production car, but imagine you could. These headrests, that could also be a speaker in fairness. Just give you huge neck support. But again, some of this is possibly the lotto number stuff. And have you seen a door grab handle that looks like that before? It also says smile to unlock, which means surely like your phone, your facial recognition could possibly open this car. Although, what if you're not in the mood of smiling? What if your missus has just told you she doesn't want to be with you anymore? How can we smile then? And you're stuck outside her house and you can't get into your car. The Hyundai Concept 3, when art of steel meets aero hatch. That's the marketing speak, at least, anyway. It is 4.2 meters long, 1.968 meters wide, and 1.465 meters tall. But the wheelbase, that's the bit, 2.7 meters, which is pretty decent. Range, there's a couple of options for battery sizes. Sharing the platform with Kia and Hyundai, you will have give or take 500 kilometer range, and then maybe a long range version of it. But it's radically different to the EV3, which is a much more boxy design. This, I'd imagine, would appeal to a kind of a more design-conscious customer, someone who's a bit more into their cars maybe, and wants something that is a bit of a showstopper versus something that's very, very functional and practical and fits everything in and all that stuff. But as I said at the outset, Hyundai cannot be accused of designing boring cars. That is for sure. And if they make an N version of this, you need to drive the IONIQ 5N if you haven't yet. You'll get a better feel of what I'm talking about. Too far, too much, too soon, or just about right for one of the world's biggest automotive producers? Have Hyundai's designers gone stark raving mad, or is this where modern EVs need to be going to make them a little bit more appealing? Let me know in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.